talking to this microphone since 3 o'clock. What's up? Come to Laugh and Skull Lounge, Best of Atlanta. How you guys doing tonight? Make some emotions in the in the comments. Uh, can anyone hear me? Make some noise if you can hear me. My name's Ian Aber. I am joining you live from my house in Atlanta, Georgia, where I have been self-sequestered for 46 days. For 46 days, that's right. I didn't realize this. It's been 46 days since I've seen a straight person in person, and this is the longest I've ever gone without ever seeing a straight person. So let me tell you, silver linings, guys. You're still live. Okay, sorry about that. Pretend like we're just starting. My name is Ian Aber, and I've been in self semester, like I said, for 45 days. It's been going great. My husband and I, we get along pretty good. He's a gay doomsday prepper, so I think we're doing pretty good in the regards of having. We already had a stockpile, though his view of stockpile and mine are a little different. What he says is a month's worth of food is like a long weekend if I'm in a bad mood because I'm an emotional eater, you know? The right before all this happened, I went and got a physical from my doctor. And when I was getting the physical, my doctor was being cute, I guess, with me and said, "You know, you're obese, right?" And I was like, "What if that's how I found out? What if I had thought I was skinny in the car and then was like, oh no, I'm obese?" So I tried to be cute back, and I was like, "Actually, the kids call it being thick, doc." And he was like, "You know, you're morbidly thick, right?" And I was like, "This is a dad bod." He's like, "That is a father figure. You need to work on that." Um, I have been trying to get this under control. Right before we went into sequester, I was going to a nutritionist. The nutritionist, she's a young, thin, happy person, positive attitude, and she and I have nothing in common, nothing at all. I went to her and I was like, the first thing she said to me was, "Keep a food diary." But what I heard was, "Confess your crimes," you know? And I didn't like it. She asked me what I like to eat, and I was like, "Chips, Brenda. I actually need them to live. Please don't take my chips." And she was like, "Why don't you try cucumber slices instead?" And I was like, "Why the fuck would I do that?" And she's like, "Well, they're crunchy just like chips." And I'm like, "So are light bulbs. What are we doing here? What is your job exactly?" I don't salad for breakfast. And I do not know what bootleg universe I have woken up where skinny people are eating salad for breakfast. I would rather eat ripe ass for breakfast before a piece of lettuce is going to pass my lips before 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. It's like salad for breakfast, Brenda. What's for lunch? The barrel of a gun? I'm on a plant-based diet, Brenda. If the food wasn't manufactured on an assembly line in a plant, I'm not going to eat it. That simple. Uh, she asked her place to eat was, and that's easy. As a comedian, before all this, I would spend a lot of time in my car, driving back and forth to shows. So I love to eat in my car by myself at night. It's like the best time. It's like crumbs on my titties, the light of the dashboard, everything tastes amazing. And she was like, "You know, every snack in your car doesn't have to be a bad snack. Instead of eating Cheetos, you could eat a carrot. I was like, again, you don't get how food works, Brenda. You just don't get it. And what she meant was, oh, you can eat healthy snacks. It's like, but I would look like a serial killer eating a carrot in my car by myself at night. Like, that's a see something, say something scenario. I just saw a fat bitch eating a carrot in his car by himself at night. I'm worried about the farmers markets in the area. Please send snacks, you know? Story I found on Nextdoor. If you don't know what Nextdoor is, it's like Facebook. Facebook is like where you go to say, I hate Republicans, I hate Democrats. Nextdoor is where like you post, I'm gonna murder my neighbor if their cat shits in my yard one more time. Post. That's Nextdoor, and I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna read you this one I found. It is called Owl Attack. And who's not 100% invested right there with Owl Attack? With Owl Attack. I was jogging over by the Summerhill track about 2 months ago, and an owl attacked me. Do you remember when that was like a problem? Like, that's like quaint now. It's like, oh, a thing with a face attacked you? What? But also, I've never been jogging, and I think that if an owl saw me, it would think that I was going to eat it. Like, I'm a bigger owl, so this is like a skinny person's problem. So, not relatable. 2 weeks go by, and I'm jogging again, and I get attacked by the same owl. And here's what I call bullshit. Okay, how do you know it's the same owl? Like when an owl comes out with you with talons and claws, you're not like looking at feather patterns and stuff, you know? And at this point, when an owl has attacked you now twice, whether it's the same owl two times or two different owls, you're gonna look and see like, does my shampoo have owl pussy in it? What's happening? What am I doing? What am I bringing to the table that are doing these owls on me? And then they finish and they say, another 2 weeks go by, and I get attacked by the same owl for the third time. And I'm like, bitch, quit bragging. We get it. You got into Hogwarts. A good enough set for me to get you guys started. We got a great lineup of comedians, so hopefully we are ready to put up the next guy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, or to your screen, more accurately. He's hilarious. You see him all over town. Mr. Joe Smith, everybody. Let's hear it for Joe Smith. Yay!
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here, and it sounds like Ian had a great set. I can hear you guys clapping for me, so I'm really looking forward to the immediate feedback. 7 weeks ago, before I self-quarantined, the last thing I did was get a haircut. And while I was in the salon, some women were talking about buying their daughters their first bra. So I spoke up and I said, oh yeah, a friend of mine recently bought her 13-year-old one. And my hairstylist said, 13? Isn't that a little old? And I said, I'm not exactly sure, but I will let her know that she has small tits. I'm sorry, Addison. Flat as a board. I know you're having trouble with homework and your headgear is a pain in the ass, the boys and the mean girls, but there is a stylist in Atlanta who says by now you should at least be an A cup. I think I'm more attuned to the pressure women have to look a certain way because now I have a 1-year-old daughter. And literally from the moment she was born, people have been commenting on her size. Yeah, not her intelligence or her work ethic or how the fact that she's bound to make less money for the same job, but her size. The doctor was yanking her out of my wife's stomach and said, wow, look at this big sucker. Like she was reeling in a prehistoric fish. I was like, oh, thank you. I'll keep that in mind when I'm toasting her on our wedding day. I remember Louise being born. The doctor said, wow, what a fat fuck. I pity the person who has to marry her. Going to really be a chubby chaser. And the nurse, the first nurse, 4 minutes into her life, a nurse held her up and goes, wow, look at this chunky monkey. Look at how chunky she is. And I'm like, that's kind of judgmental because I can see your breast flapping up and down and you have a tattoo that says Darren on it. And it's written in script. And then she turned to the other nurse and the other nurse goes, it's okay. She can lose it by prom. Lose what? You lose a lot of things on prom. Weight is not one of them. You can lose your keys, your innocence, your way in life. But that's not the freshman 15. The worst, though, is the people on the street that comment about my daughter's appearance. And invariably, they're older Southern women. Women who you can tell kind of feel like the help was misunderstood, for whom Steel Magnolias was like a real weather vane. They have like, I don't know, feathered hair, red lipstick, and they have all their initials over all their clothes. Which, don't get me wrong, I appreciate a good monogrammed shirt. It really makes sense. Putting your initials on your shirt is so much easier than spelling out, I think I'm better than you. Yeah. And if you have monogram shirts, by the way, I know two things about you. One, you had a dad. And those are not the things of a single mother household. And two, you called that dad father, as in, I'm never going to live up to father's expectations. So it's that kind of woman, the kind of woman who probably doesn't say the N-word anymore, but when she hears it, kind of like nods along in agreement, like, you know what, we don't need to expand MARTA. Certainly not out to Cobb County. And they come up to my daughter and they say, wow, that is a big baby. What a big baby. I'm like, do you want her to have thigh gap? She's not trying to get into the club right now. This is it. And they use that coded Southern language. She goes, well, she is very healthy. Healthy. And it's doublespeak. It's like the way they talk about their friends saying, well, Mara Lee was very social in college. When Mara Lee was in Athens, she was social. That means Mara Lee liked to fuck a lot. Yeah, she might like sweet tea and a time on the porch now, but when she was Athens, anything goes. That was Mara Lee. Healthy and social. Yeah, and I totally also get the fact that women get mixed messages from the media. It's like, you do you, girl, yes, queen, but also be a size 2. My daughter gets shit for her large appearance, but at the same time, all of her fucking clothes are covered in elephants. That's a strange style icon, Babar. All of my daughter's clothes are covered with big icons. Seriously, Dumbos, hippos, Lizzos. It's a lot for her to have to live up to. I don't get it. And I've never heard a woman in her 20s or 30s be like, girl, I'm going to kill these bitches. I got the cutest little top at Anthro. It is covered with elephants. Just doesn't happen that way. And in Atlanta, by the way, it's only women that give my daughter shit about her appearance. Dudes are just like, damn, your girl got a fat ass. And that's important in Atlanta, to have a fat ass. People say the baby's healthy. Wow, the baby looks so healthy and happy. And I'm like, well, thank you. I mean, she is. You know why she's happy? My wife and I get along for the most part. She eats a healthy diet, and she's never been forced to buy color ink when she just wants to print in black and white. You know what I mean? She's never had one single dumb signature page, but Hewlett-Packard on her janky printer says, no, you have to go to the horror show of Office Depot and get something called cyan. My daughter doesn't know that cyan is a fucking color and not the name of a black woman who does spoken word poetry. And she doesn't know the horror of needing a 1-minute printout job, but all of a sudden you have to go to Office Depot and take 2 hours. Because yeah, it takes 10 minutes to get there, but it takes an hour and a half to get out. Are you a rewards member? No, I'm a punishment member because I keep coming here. Oh, well, why doesn't your daughter or you stock up a bunch of extra ink? Don't you have ink cartridges at home? No, because the only people that do that are psychopaths. And people way too confident in how long they're going to live. No, check it out, dude. I have so many of these printer cartridges. I'm going to buy so much shit and not even want it that I'm going to have to print out all these return labels and just ship this crap back. Yeah, you're a goof. Nobody wants to hang out with you if you buy extra printer cartridges. I haven't been doing a lot of work around the house lately, but I do some during quarantine. The other day, I realized, men, we occupy like 50% of the population, but most of us have no idea what each other look like. Because I called my local hardware store and I said, is the bald guy with the beard there? And the guy goes, Derek? And I said, I don't know his name. probably would have used it. I wasn't raised by wolves. I'm not going to call up and say, hey, it's the little guy with the withered arm there. I know that's Carlos. We've talked about his arm. He feels at peace with it. He feels that it's God's way of punishing humanity for original sin. I know that. And he goes, well, Derek's bald. I was like, oh, cool. Does he have a beard? And the guy goes, yeah, I don't know. Then how do you know he's bald? Do you only see the top of his head? And what kind of relationship is that if that's the case? Are you polishing his shoes? Polishing his knob? That's a new joke with no feedback, and I wanted to say, are you shining his shoes or polishing his knob? Either way, it's inappropriate for a hardware store. But it does give new meaning to the place. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware man. And so I thought this guy was slow that I was talking to. But it turns out men just don't know what each other look like. You hear how we describe each other? Was he black? White? Big dude? Little dude? Trustworthy? Canadian? And by Canadian, I do mean Jew. Like, wow, there sure are a lot of Canadians in this law firm. Or, oh my God, the Palestinians fucking hate Canada. All because they're good at hockey. We don't know, because that joke would never have worked. We notice what women look like. The joke would never have worked, that phone call, if it switched around. Ace Hardware, may I help you? Yeah, is the blonde with the big tits there? Deborah? Well, Deborah has blonde hair. Oh, cool. Does she have big tits? Yeah, I don't know. But she is social. I don't know how this went, but I heard that it went really well. I'm reading all the comments, and it seems like everybody started following me on Instagram. I'm grateful for that. Comics, when it doesn't go well, we call it bombing. And bombing is like one of the purest, most acutely painful feelings of rejection you can experience. It's like everyone who ever broke up with you got together in a room, and they're like, yeah, we totally made the right decision. And then they all start having sex with each other, and you have to watch. And you're like, no, I can change. And like, I'm sorry, we're not into white guys anymore. So, have a good night. Thanks for having me, and stay inside, you dumb fucks.
Yeah, let's hear it for Joe Smith, everybody. Let's hear it for Joe Smith. Yeah, he killed it. He killed it. All right, we're going to bring up our next performer. She kills it all over town. She has a great podcast called Cheaties with another comedian, Lace Larrabee. Please welcome to your screens the wonderful Catherine Blanford, everybody. Let's hear it for Catherine. Yay!
Hey! Thank you so much for having me. I guess am I being heard? Yeah? Okay. I don't know. I don't know how this works anymore. All right. Here's my take on quarantine. I'll let you know the thing I miss the most is obviously this situation that happens at brunch. So I haven't been able to go to brunch, and the only reason I go to brunch is to fulfill my destiny and to watch this scenario play out. It happens all the time where like it'll be a group of women and we get into a huddle, right? And then one woman, she will just say something vulnerable to the group, something like whether she's like scared or nervous to share with the group. And then all the other women in support will just take turns one-upping that bitch. And it's so sweet to see. So that had happened recently, right before the quarantine. We were at brunch, and this girl was going on and on and on about herself. I hate her so much. She's my best friend. And she was telling me that she wanted to bring her grandparents back to India. She wanted to fly them over there on a trip. That's where her grandparents had immigrated to America from. But she was nervous to fly just because airport security is a pain in the ass, just because their skin is brown. And I was like, girl, I know exactly how you feel. Because recently I had just ran a half marathon. Thank you. And the whole time I was running the marathon, I just ran in just a sports bra, like no shirt. And I remember in the sidelines, all these women were judging me, just because my skin is so skinny. And so the girl started telling me again, like about how her grandma is sick. And I was like, oh my God, I wasn't finished, So when she stopped complaining, I was like, anyways. So I'd run this race, and when I'd shown up to the starting line for this race, it was a race for charity, by the way. I love that we do that as a people. We just raise awareness for people that are sick by doing what they can. And I'd shown up to the starting line, and this like nerd with a clipboard had run up to me, and he was like, "Ma'am, wait, you can't run till you have your racing bib on." And I was like, "Did you say a bib?" And he was like, "Yeah, your racing bib." I was like, okay, well, feed me, daddy. It's always the nerds. He was like, no, your racing bib, it's a number every racer gets. You're supposed to get at the expo yesterday. Didn't you get the email? I was like, oh, I don't have email. I have Instagram. And he was like, I'm sorry, you can't run the race without it. And I was like, okay, clearly you're a little bit out to date with the whole like email thing and the whole like not realizing that I don't get told no. Like the only time I really hear no, is if I'm like, am I in trouble, officer? I'm just saying, like, in my situation, life is just kind of yes and. Even like during the quarantine, I pulled up to the Starbucks drive-through, and the barista was like, "Oh, ma'am, actually, the man before you paid for your student loans." And I was like, "Okay, well, who the fuck is gonna pay for this latte?" I'll tell you, I'm still nannying during the quarantine, which is double frustrating because the parents are home now and they're working from home. And I was like, okay, I just figured out all the blind spots in the nanny cams, so I have to restart that all over again. But it's so frustrating because, like, now I can't do my job, which is to teach these kids how to fend for themselves. And I tell you, I will be completely honest, don't get me wrong, I absolutely hate children. And anybody that is a nanny hates children as well. If I was passionate about kids, I'd be like a teacher or something and tell kids, like, you matter. But nannies are just people that are passionate about rich people snacks, okay? I'll tell you this, even after the quarantine, like if you go to a playground right now and you saw a nanny out there, every single nanny on that playground is threatening those kids if they inconvenience her. If every single playground, you would go out there and you would see a woman screaming at kids like Forrest, Hunter. But every kid, by the way, every kid that's ever has a nanny is also named after the wilderness. Forest Green. If you get a scrape, if you hurt yourself, you will go to bed hungry tonight. I can't do this. I drank 2.5 bottles of I waterboarded myself with Pinot Grigio last night because of all your homeschooling that I have to do now. No, go find your sister Robin's egg. But this is the thing that I have learned. As a nanny, I love a bad kid. I don't like the good kids. Like the good kids, they're the worst because you have to be present. Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can't hear me?
Well, it's faint now.
Ben, do you want to do some of her material?
I wish I knew it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, we can hear you now, Catherine.
Okay. You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. Do good kids, you have to be present? Huh?
Pick up at the nanny part.
Come up, go. What did you say?
Pick up at the nanny part.
Okay. This is okay. Good kids suck. You have to be present for good kids, and you have to play with them, and you have to answer shitty questions. I have a 5-year-old. She's a goody two-shoe. The other day, she was like Kiki, Nanny, and Strippers and Muppets, all have the same nickname. She was like, Kiki, one day I want to go to your office, right? And I was like, you think I'm here for funsies? Do you think this is just a big game of house? You know what I mean? Do you think I'm playing your mom? If I had a choice and we were playing house, I'd play the goddamn Persian rug. You know, but the bad kids are the best. Okay, that same day, the little 2-year-old, she's the worst. I took the trash out. She locked me out of the house. She's 2, like she can barely reach the locks. I had no idea how she knew I didn't want to work that day. You know, like that's my girl. And then the 5-year-old let me back in, and you know, guess who lost her screen time that night? Honestly, kids are so much work. And so I was telling my boyfriend about how I don't want to have kids, you know, because they're a lot of work, and I want to have a career. And he was like, well, I mean, you can just get a nanny. I was like, no, you can't. As someone who was a nanny, I just can't hire a nanny. You know, that would be like a horse riding on the back of another horse, asking it to jump, you know? I've started a new relationship during this quarantine. And this is what I've learned, okay? I'm done, now that I'm 20 years old, I'm done with bad boys, all right? I think everybody needs to get themselves a Kevin from accounting when they're ready to settle down. And I'll tell you, this is what's going to happen. If you're going to date a bad boy, fine, date a bad boy. What's going to happen is you're going to get matching tattoos. And then when that relationship ends, that tattoo stays. And then you have to explain that tattoo to all your future gynecologists. But I'll say this about Kevin from accounting. He'll never get a tattoo, okay? Not because he thinks that they're trashy, just because they're too ouchy. But this is the, like, don't underestimate Kevin from accounting, though, okay? Because he knows how to make things hot in the bedroom, right? When stuff gets steamy and he starts taking off his khakis, he'll say this. True story. He'll go, Alexa, play sexy instrumentals. And I just keep telling you how good that feels now to see a man recognize his weakness and then delegate that to an intern. This is my hot take on why certain people are surviving the COVID. Is like, I know like kids are hardly affected at all, and I know why, because I see these little rugrats every single day. It's because like these little people, their bodies have adapted, right? Like our grandparents grew up on something called green beans, and now we're giving kids something called Go-Gurt, which even if you say it, it sounds like you're choking on your intestines. And if you don't know what it is, Go-Gurt was originally yogurt, which is like something we took from a byproduct of another animal. And someone was like, maybe we shouldn't eat this. Let's wait until it gets clumpier. And then someone was like, well, why don't we put it in tubes and give it to kids, right? Call it Go-Gurt. And moms were like, oh no, is it organic? And we were like, this flavor is. It's called Neon. So kids are fine, you know, and even they're giving us like 20-year-old shit because we're not getting sick either. And I know why, especially for women my age, is we've been taking a vaccine that will survive anything. You know, every day I take this little concoction of it's a birth control, Adderall, and Xanax. So honestly, if an atomic bomb lands tomorrow, that's just another day at the tanning bed for me. Did I hit 10 minutes? I don't want to go over.
I think you're good.
Okay, thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Give it up for Ian.
Let's hear it. Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Let's hear it for Catherine Blanford one more time. Make some noise at your house, bang on your keyboards, rub your phone on your titties. I don't know. All right, we're going to bring our next performer to the screen. Great guy, runs a hilarious podcast called Crazy Money. Please welcome, all the way from his self-quarantine compound in Buckhead, Mr. Paul Ollinger.
It's Brookhaven, Ian. Brookhaven, technically speaking. And by the way, I love your shirt. Your shirt is very nice. I'm so glad that we coordinated this. I'm horrified. I'm horrified. We're gonna have to do who wore it best. By the way, this is phenomenal. I'm very nervous because this is kind of an unnatural thing, you know, to like just sit at your desk and try to perform. I mean, like telling jokes into a camera. I'm nervous because with 22 people watching, 21 of whom are comedians and one of whom is my mother-in-law, the stakes have never been lower, ladies and gentlemen. This is who the fuck is Rodney? Rodney, who are you?
I wrote a story about you a couple weeks ago.
Oh, Rodney Ho. Hey, buddy, what's up? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to make
This guy just gave me tons of great press, and I'm busting his balls. Hey, Rodney, what's up? Wow, I feel dumb now. That's what you do. That's what you get for doing crowd work over the fucking computer. The stakes have never been lower until you insult the entertainment editor from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and then your career's in the shitter. Your career is such that it is telling jokes into a $15 camera for $7. That's what ends your career. Here's what's hard about doing comedy during the pandemic, y'all. It's that all the false premises all comedians have ever come up with simply won't work anymore. Like, I've got this great fake premise. So the other day I took my kid to a birthday party. Yeah, nobody's going to any fucking birthday parties for months. All right, that joke's done. So I'm at the mall the other day. No, you weren't no motherfucking malls neither. You weren't. Here's how every joke should begin. So I was at home drinking way too much and arguing with my partner. Oh, that's a believable premise. Let's go with that one. I was on a Zoom meeting surfing porn and playing Tetris while. Anyway, that's believable. That's believable. I was telling jokes into a camera while reading them off of an email I had opened. Okay, that's believable. That's believable also. I'd like to do crowd work, but as I look into into the crowd, all I'm seeing is a whole bunch of browser tabs that should be closed, which is basically a reflection of how my brain works. It's like they're just a to-do list of shit I haven't gotten to yet. Welcome back, Ian. This technology is pretty remarkable. It's remarkable that we can sit here in our respective homes and talk to each other, entertain each other, communicate, but it's not exactly what I envisioned when I was a kid, when I thought about the space age future. You know, when I was young and I thought about my Star Wars fantasy, it was me having a threesome on Mars with Barbarella and Judy Jetson, not telling jokes into a computer from the room where my mother-in-law sleeps when she comes to town. That's it. That's the room. That's where Sue sleeps with Steve. Those are the in-laws. That's the dog. That's the French. The dog is looking at me going, what the fuck are you doing? You have lost it, owner. Don't love the dog. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a huge dog person. I have a dog because my wife wanted a dog and I complied. And I don't, here's one of the reasons I don't like it is that I am now her fourth favorite entity in my home. So it's my two children. They're tied for 1 and 2, the dog, and then me. I'm fourth. And I wouldn't mind being fourth so much if the dog didn't destroy our home on a consistent basis. He just poops and pees everywhere. The rugs in our hallway look like a Jackson Pollock that was left out in the rain. It's just silly. Our foyer looks like the floor of a peep show. My friends come over like, dude, what have you been doing in here? And I'm like, dude, it's not me. It's the dog. It's the dog. All he does is he snores and he pisses and he poops. And I wouldn't mind it so much, but that's my job. There's only room for one of those people in this house. People talk about Zoom. Oh, it's great. It's a great, I think we're gonna get rid of all the square footage our company is renting, because now with Zoom, we can all look each other in the eye and do business remotely. No, you can't, because here's the only way to look each other in the eye. I'm looking into the camera, which makes it look as if I'm looking in you in the eye. But if I look at Rodney, I'm not looking at you at the eye. But really what I'm looking at the whole time I'm doing Zoom is me and going like, fuck, I look pretty good, man. Like that's anyway. My kids are hanging in there. I feel like a bad parent. I'm pandemic is basically like the parenting Olympics. My kids have done 10 years of screen time in 6 weeks, and they know that the threats we make when they are misbehaving are completely empty, because we'll say, Elvis, if you don't stop. Elvis is my son's name because I'm a stupid person, but he's a great kid. I say, Elvis, if you don't stop picking on your sister, there'll be no screen time tomorrow. And he looks at me like, you don't fucking mean that. And you know it, because you're going to wake up hungover tomorrow, and there's no way in hell you're going to enforce that rule. So it's basically like no screen time until you serve your penance or mom and dad are hungover, which is no more than 24 hours in the future. I've been trying to make the most of my time during the pandemic. I've been studying Spanish on this app called Duolingo. Who you guys know of Duolingo? I can't hear you. I don't see you. I have no idea what you're saying. I can see Rodney shaking his head. Duolingo, it's an app to help learn languages. And they give you these quizzes, like Duolingo gave me this one. Please translate this sentence. And it was this: Ella tiene 13 gatos. And that's an interesting phrase. In Spanish, it means she has 13 cats. An alternative translation would be, she will die alone and be eaten by 13 gatos. That's an alternative translation of that one. My son, also using Duolingo, he decided instead of learning Spanish or some other useful language that he would learn, wait for it, Hawaiian, which will be great to help him buy weed in college. That's fantastic. A lot of alcohol, as I've been mentioning, being consumed at homes right now. Being consumed right now. My son asked me the other night. He said, "Dad, why do you drink wine so much?" And I say, "Hey, well, son, you know that voice in the back of your head that tells you you're a lazy piece of shit? You know that voice I'm talking about? Wine turns that voice off for a couple hours and lets Daddy get some sleep. That's why we drink a little wine." I got to laugh. Wow, I actually heard that one. The truth of the matter is, I'm not unhappy. I'm just Catholic. That's what it is. And for those of you who weren't raised Catholic, let me break it down for you. When you're raised Catholic, you come to see yourself accurately as a broken, filthy person. That's 12 years of Catholic school. Here are the only two things I believe. Number one, Jesus is Lord. Number two, I don't deserve to be happy. Those are the two things I learned in Catholic school. It's the contradictions of Catholicism that I don't like. It's like, for example, hey, God made you in his own image, or your body is evil. Oh, another contradiction. Jesus loves you, but you're going to hell. And the third, that priest is a holy person who wants to see you pee. That's a new one. All right. We'll work on that one. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, I got a minute 37. So I've been thinking a lot about adequacy lately. I think in a pandemic, you can really see how far we are from the edge. Like you have to think about, well, what would life look like when society completely breaks down? And I've been pretty worried because I'm not much of a man. Here's an example, guys. Here are two indications you're not the guy to fix your own leaky faucet. Indication number one is if every time you turn that wrench, you have to mumble to yourself, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It's a pretty bad indication as it goes for your DIY skills. Here's the second indication is if to get to that faucet, you have to move from your countertop a large bottle of Kiehl's Facial Fuel Men's Moisturizer. If you've got this at home, don't try to fix your own faucet, because there's only two kinds of dudes in the world: guys who know how to fix stuff and guys who exfoliate. That's what I'm saying. What I love about that joke is that the women laugh and the gay guys laugh. Not Ian in this case, because he's heard it a bunch of times and maybe it's not funny. But the gay dudes laugh and the straight guys just sit there. Thank you, Ian. The straight guys just sit there looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about, written all over their dumb, dehydrated faces? And what I'm talking about is a daily skincare regimen, fellas. All right. Please tell me you still don't use Irish Spring to wash your face. All right. It's just going to scorch the meat right off of your face. And I'm talking about a daily skincare regimen is what I'm talking about. You need a little bit of toner. You need some moisturizer. You got to clean that. And if it's a special occasion, hit it with some toner on your way out the door. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been fantastic. I wanted to end on a mediocre joke so as to give the next comic a chance. I've been Paul Ollinger. See you next time.
Gentlemen, that was Paul Ollinger, everybody, from his chalet in Brookhaven. I was mistaken, not Buckhead. But one more time for Paul Ollinger, everyone. Make some noise to yourself, clap your hands, touch the keys on your keyboards, and send emojis. Our next performer, a hilarious comedian, joining us. Oh, to riff it a bit, and so I shall now riff it a bit. Um, what should I talk about? We have an air fryer being delivered to the house, and I have never been more excited. I don't know why. I've been in my house for 46 days, and now I've decided that I must own an air fryer. I'm sick. I have air fryer envy. I don't have a Nintendo Switch or an air fryer. I don't know how I'm supposed to survive a fucking pandemic. Masks? Who needs those? But please, my air fryer. I need that immediately. We got a bidet. It is possessed by Satan. I didn't realize that bidet was the French word for wet balls. I did not know that. Just tell me when I can move forward, but I'm gonna keep talking. Wait. I got a message. The message is keep riffing. But there's just sound going in my ear. Okay, I got a weighted blanket for Christmas. I don't know if I did this at the opening or not, because that was super weird, the opening. But I got a weighted blanket for Christmas, which is weird because I already thought I was a weighted blanket. Like I am weighted down with like emotional distress and like literal sheets of fat covering my body. But anyways, I got this weighted blanket for Christmas, and here's my product review. Okay, pros. Cool. But I'm gonna finish my joke. Damn it. Okay, so pros are that it feels like you're being hugged by like a loved one that never approved of you, so that's nice, right? And you fall asleep really fast, and you remember all your dreams, right? Which is weird. But the con is that all your dreams are about being trapped underneath something. Ah! So, ladies and gentlemen, our next performer, he is also really hilarious, funny comedian. It just happens that we have two of them left at the end. So, ladies and gentlemen, instead of the one I was about to introduce, here's another one. His name, hilarious, Andrew Stanley. Everybody, let's hear it for Andrew Stanley.
All right. Oh, thank you guys so much. It's really throwing me off going a spot early. I've only had a month and a half to prepare for this. I am quarantined at my parents' house right now, and I just wanted to get that out of the way so you guys didn't think I owned this wall. I don't own any walls. This is the nicest. I feel like I've been on vacation. My parents I have my own bathroom for the first time in 4 years. So it's honestly has not affected me negatively very much at all. I got my driver's license yesterday, which I'm thrilled about. Finally, I'm pretty sure I was going to pass the test the next time anyway, but it's easier just to forge my mom's signature, thanks to Governor Kemp. So look out for me if you're driving around 285. I'm just circling around 285 all day tomorrow if you guys want to meet up. It it has been a little weird at our house during all this. My sister had to get married in quarantine. They were supposed to get married right at the beginning of all this, and it was going to be like 500 people, and we ended up doing like 15 people, just our family, at our house. And it's crazy because all this happened during wedding season, so it's throwing off a ton of people's weddings. Most people are like, "Oh, we'll just wait," but Christians are like, "We have been waiting." And we are getting married, okay? Like, I don't care. We had plans for this month, and I don't care if Mima has to abstain from coming because we can't anymore, okay? We're the but it's fun being here. I come from a preacher. My dad married them, which was cool. He's a pastor. I come from a preacher family. My grandfather's a big Southern Baptist TV preacher, and my dad's a pastor. And I do this, or used to do this. And they're thrilled about it. Honestly, I think stand up is better. It's just a better version of preaching. I don't have to baptize anybody. That's gross. I'm not trying to get in a hot tub with some sinner, especially now. They're not going to be able to baptize people after this the same way anymore. I don't think. I think they're going to have to get those carnival dunk tanks, and the pastor's just going to have to throw a softball to decide whether the person gets salvation or not. And in the name of the Father, the Son, and Randy Johnson, I pronounce you safe. So everything's going to be different, but I think being a comedian will still be better than being a preacher, though. Like I as a comedian, you can talk about whatever you want. My dad every Sunday has to do a new book report about the same book and try to make it seem new and interesting. And people will get mad at him too. They'll be like, this Easter service sounds a lot like the one from a few years ago. And he'll just be like, yeah, well, the material has not changed at all. They do not let you add stuff. The author's always listening, and he has a violent history. So we got to be careful messing with his work. But as a comedian, it can be frustrating sometimes. All of you guys know, like if a stranger finds out you're a comedian, they'll be like, "Oh, tell me a joke," and that gets old. But when strangers find out my dad is a preacher, they will just start telling him about their divorce, and that feels worse. Tell me about your divorce. I can use it. He can't use it. But I had a very very sheltered childhood, and I wasn't allowed. It's been weird being home. I'm finding all my old movies and stuff, and like all my stuff, and like I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of the movies and TV shows my friends could watch. I was not allowed to watch anything where the kids are disrespectful to the parents in it, and anything that has those components, which is pretty much everything that they've made that has parents and children in it. But my parents would let me watch like violent movies with them all the time. Like that was not a problem. Like I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob, but I saw Saving Private Ryan when I was 8 years old. So I don't know where we draw the line. But the big thing was we weren't allowed to watch anything that had a sex scene in it. That was the big one. But sometimes there'd be a movie my dad wanted us to see that had like one bad scene in it. So he came up with a solution. He would rip the DVD into his computer. He would put it into editing software. He would edit out the sex scene. He would edit it back together, and he would put it on my video iPod. And it would take him 4 days per movie. And he loved me a lot, and he hated nudity. So now I have all these great movies on my these really weird cuts in them, and I'm just like, oh, I bet that was a good one. But now I can't help but think that somewhere on my dad's computer there's a folder that has all the missing sex scenes from my childhood in it. And honestly, that's the whole reason I'm quarantining at home. I'm trying to find that folder to take back with me when this is all over, because that's where the good stuff. Trying to find out what really happens at the end of the Titanic. I never understood why they seem so connected. But I've been watching a lot of movies, and I've come to the realization that that horror movies are way scarier if you're really Christian, because we believe some of that stuff, and the rest of you, it hits harder when you believe it. If the devil is very scary, especially if you believe in him, and like normal people went and saw Paranormal Activity and said that was scary, and then they just went on about their lives. I saw Paranormal Activity in high school, and now every time I lay down to go to bed, I think tonight might be the night, because that's what happens to people at night. They get, and it's a whole different thing if you believe it's possible, and it's terrifying. And I think I have a bad taste in my mouth from it, because I learned, when you're a Christian parent, you have to tell your kids that the devil is real, which is not. If you believe in the devil, you must tell your children, because he's after them too. But what age though? You can't, because the conversation is basically like, "Hey, buddy, there's this, and we haven't told you about this guy before, but he's invisible, and he hates you, and he wants to get inside you, and he's kind of always around. Like sometimes he's in your room, actually. But don't worry, because there's also invisible good guys who are constantly fighting with them all around where we are at your school and in the living room. They're always fighting. So don't worry about it. Sleep tight." Like, you can't tell that to a 2-year-old. But you also can't wait until they get to be like teenagers and their friends are telling them about it, because there's all kinds of rumors about the devil. And so the reason I care about this is because I remember when I was told that the devil is real, I learned that the devil is real the same week that I learned that Santa Claus is not. And that's a rough week. That's a rough week for a 9-year-old. You're not going to be the same after that. I can remember hanging out with my friends on the playground. They were like, "Andrew, you seem different." And I was like, "I am pretty different now, actually. My team has made a terrible trade, and I do not think we're going to recover. It's a bad trade. You lose the guy that comes down your chimney, and now you're getting a guy that also might come down your chimney. Like, no thanks." But how am I doing on time, by the way? I don't see. Do I have more time?
Ian? Wrap it up, I guess. You're back, Ian.
One more joke.
Hey, before all this, I used to perform at fundraisers, which is now not a thing. There's no funds being raised. And I've always hated performing at fundraisers because I feel like when they pay me, it feels like they're giving me some of the good cause money, which, they agreed to, but it still feels like I'm taking it from the people that need it. And I'll never forget the first one I performed at. It was for this organization based in Swaziland, Africa. And they rescue abandoned babies that otherwise would be killed. And I was very excited because it was one of the first times I was ever going to get paid to do stand-up. And so I get there and I sit down and I do my set and it goes fine. And then this woman gets up to talk about the organization, and she's this wonderful lady that's devoted her whole life to this cause. And she keeps saying, "For every $100 we raise tonight, we can save the life of a child." And in the back of my mind, I knew that they were going to pay me $300. Three children they were going to pay me. And I was just like, I don't think that's how stand-up comedy is supposed to work. That's not what I signed up for. Like, what do you do? I legitimately didn't know what to do, because I was like, I can't, take these child lives. But also, I need to get paid for this. Like, this is my job. I need to be willing to accept. Like, should I kill these kids? I don't know what the right thing to do is. So at the end of the night, this woman comes up to me and she goes, "Andrew, thank you so much for being here." And she hands me the check, and I look at it. It says $300, and she turns to walk away. And I said, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. I cannot deposit this. You forgot to sign it." Because I'm trying to save this baby. We're moving back home permanently. So anyway, that'll be it for me. Thank you guys very much.
Yay!
Hey! One more time for Andrew Stanley, everybody. That was amazing. Make some noise. Send some hearts. Give some love. We're going to move on. We got 2 more performers for you. Our next performer, I was telling you about him earlier. He's so funny. He's so hilarious. Please welcome to your screens, Mr. Mandel, everybody. Let's hear it for Mandel. Yay!
Let's get it. Let's get it. Thank you. Thank you. Can y'all hear me all right? Can I be heard? Fantastic. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be back still in quarantine. I hope y'all are quarantining. I see a lot of people outside today, and that makes me nervous, bro. I don't think We took it serious enough. Great example. I've been in my house this entire time, as you can see, because I've been wearing this shirt as the same shirt I wore at Joke Battle. Yes, I haven't changed outfits in maybe like a month now, and I feel great. I feel real liberated, like a cartoon or something, bro. Anyway, I've been trying to be better about quarantining. Greatest example is I've been ordering Uber Eats for all my food. I've been trying not to interact with people, but I'm starting to realize that I could definitely catch it from an Uber Eats driver because they don't really care that much at all. Like I was in my house and I ordered Uber Eats, and the dude got to my door, and I clicked the option where they leave the food at the door. But instead of doing that, the dude waited till I got to the door and legitimately just stepped into my house. Like he took one step inside of my house, which is something that would have been weird if we wasn't dealing with a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was a regular Tuesday and a random person stepped in your house, you'd be like, hey, don't do that. And so I said, hey, I think you need to take a step back. I said, you need to take a step back. And then he replies back to me, all right, geez. All right, geez. What are you talking about, bro? You just don't walk into people's cribs and thinking they're gonna be okay with it. Is that how you do every Uber Eats drive? You just walk in and plant it on their dinner table? It was weird, bro. I left my house one time to go to the gas station because I ran out of Fiji water, and that's what I need the most to feel great, right? Get to go get the Fiji water. I get to the front of the desk, and the first thing the dude says is, yeah, man, somebody had coronavirus was in here yesterday. Which I think is an odd sentence to tell somebody as they about to buy something from your place. Not to mention, how did he know that? Was the person wearing a sign? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to let you know I got coronavirus. Then he follows that sentence up with, well, yeah, my sister had coronavirus too, and people thought I was crazy to go stay with her for the weekend. You are crazy, bro. Why are you at work? Matter of fact, I want you to keep these 2 bottles of water. I'm going to go home. This is nasty. It's very strange. It's very strange stuff. I've been learning a lot about myself in this time of quarantine. Great example. I realized earlier that I'm very thankful that I have a dad and a stepdad, which is cool for me. I've always had those. But the weird thing about it was that when I was a kid, my mother never explained to me the concept of a stepdad. She just said I had 2 dads and I had them because, I was so blessed that I have them. I thought that was cool. Except when I would go out in public and meet teachers or whatever, I would tell them that I had 2 dads. So everybody up in my elementary school just thought my parents was just a gay couple. You know what I'm saying? And then it was cool at first. It was cool at first when people used to talk about it until one time I told this teacher that, and then she said, "Oh, that's cool. Well, I think that's great because I didn't have a mom either." And I was like, "I got a mom too." And in her brain, I could tell she thought I meant that I have 2 dads and a mom that all stay together. And then she just looked me in my eyes and was just like, "That's nasty," and walked away, bro. That was the weirdest thing I ever did. Because I don't even know she worked there, bro. It was real weird. It's been cool though. It was just a random lady, bro. Biggest thing I've learned recently is I'm happy to be back in Atlanta. I had to come back to Atlanta because of this, and I have to be back in Atlanta. I was in another city recently. I don't know if you ever been to another city before, but they are trash. All of them, they're not good. I was in North Dakota. I don't know if you ever been to North Dakota before. It's not good. I was in North Dakota. North Dakota made me happy to be back in the South with real racists like y'all. You know what I'm saying? For real, because in North Dakota, they was racist, but they wasn't good at it because they don't got nobody to practice on. You know what I'm saying? So when they saw me, it was the Super Bowl. Everybody was just like pulling out their old slurs. This dude walked up to me. He was like, "Hey, I guess the breakdance convention's in town, huh?" Black people don't break dance no more. You know what I'm saying? Save that for when you see some Asians. Not to mention, I'm over 300 pounds, bro. His racism defied physics. It's been cool. The biggest thing I've learned, the biggest thing I've done on quarantine is play Call of Duty. I play Call of Duty all day. That's my favorite pastime, and I learned a lot from Call of Duty. Is that, hey man, if this is what the military is like, that's got to be terrible, bro. I respect them dudes a lot because I died one time on Call of Duty. Actually, I just realized I shouldn't tell this joke. Um, I realized it didn't have a good ending to it. My other favorite thing I do miss about Atlanta, about traveling outside. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is go to the aquarium. I like fish a lot. I'm really into aquariums. I don't know if you ever been to an aquarium before, but it's great. They got fish. They swimming in there, bro. They swimming so fast. I don't know. If you think Michael Phelps is impressive, you should see these guys. I mean, they are just zooming on by. My favorite aquarium is the Georgia Aquarium, non-biasedly, because in that aquarium they have a cafe, and in that cafe they sell seafood, and that's about as fresh as it can get. You know what I'm saying? That's farm to table. That sounds delicious. Let me get that fish in specific. My only beef with it was that they only sold like regular fish, like catfish and tuna and stuff. And I'm like, forget that, bro. I want to see what Nemo tastes like. You know what I'm saying? Let's put Dory on our plate and see what our stomach hurt. It's been real fun, man. The best thing that happened to me is that I stopped eating fast food. That's because I moved in with my mom, and she be cooking, man. I moved in with my mom. I started eating fast food. My favorite thing about it is that I really wanted to stop eating it for a while because I've been boycotting McDonald's because they're putting up fat people in the commercials, and we the main people who still eat there. Have you seen these commercials? You know what I'm saying? Like Ronald McDonald look like a clown that does CrossFit. You know what I'm saying? I seen the McDonald's commercial with people break dancing. Break dancing. Hey, you eat a double quarter pounder with cheese and try to spin on your head to see what happened, bro. You couldn't do it. No break dancing like, hey, you know what I need before I hit the dance floor? Some wicka acid reflux. You know what I'm saying? Even if you couldn't do it, you couldn't do it at McDonald's because they keep the floor so sticky. You would literally get stuck, break your neck, and die, bro. McDonald's commercials without fat people is like dog food commercials, but instead of dogs, they got really big raccoons. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, they probably eat it too, but that's not the target audience. You know what I'm saying? So put my people in there. I'm sick of it, bro. Speaking of my dad, actually, no, I was about to say I go by Mandel. I forgot to say my name earlier. I go by Mandel, which is Latin for man sandal. All right. My real name is Kevin. Okay. I hate my name because it's a second-rate name. Kevin is the premier name in the Evan family of names. And I know that because every time I tell somebody my name, they're like, oh, it's like Kevin, but with a T, which means you heard my name. You just want me to know that you think it's stupid. You know what I'm saying? That's like me walking up to somebody and being like, oh, your name's Lucas? Oh, that's like mucus, but with an L, you know? Samantha Salmonella. Weirdest thing about my name, I share my name with this 90s R&B artist named Tevin Campbell. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but it's 90s R&B artist. And so every time I speak to an older person, I tell them my name is Tevin. They're like, oh, Tevin, like Tevin Campbell. So one time I'm on a customer service call with Southwest, right? And I called a person and I said, hey, I want to change my flight. And she says, oh, it's Tevin, like Tevin Campbell. Let's change that flight, Tevin. Now, if you don't know, that was a reference to this song that's like, let's talk about sex, baby, which is way too intense of a song for a customer service call. Second, Tevin Campbell doesn't even sing that song, bro. He had the wrong artist. I'm like, Tevin Campbell doesn't sing that song. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, he doesn't sing that song. And he just hung up the phone, bro. I ain't even know that they could do that. How much time do I have? Do we have a clock? All right, great. You said what?
Ian, does Ian have a time slot at this point?
Okay, never mind. I'll just keep going until somebody tells me to stop. All right. I've been trying to figure out how I'm gonna tell this joke on the internet, and I'm gonna see how it works. I want to go on to one of them old dudes with like a hidden treasure, and before I die, I'm gonna write down where it is in cursive so nobody younger than me can read it. Y'all remember cursive? It was like a thing they taught us in school that nobody knows anymore. It's so much stuff that they taught us in school that we never got to use. For instance, do you remember stop, drop, and roll? Okay, if you don't know what stop, drop, and roll is, it's this thing where you get on fire. Okay, if you're ever on fire, you're supposed to stop, drop, and roll until you eventually burn up. Okay, but they don't teach in schools anymore because my generation just figured out how to not be on fire. That's it. Like so many people was catching on fire. That some smart person was like, hey, we got to create a curriculum for this because you know boys will be boys and boys will be engulfed in flames. Then another dude comes along. He's like, hey, I think what they could do if they do have a tornado, and they like, oh, that's easy. Stop, drop, and cover your face because a tornado can't hit what it can't see. Okay, you ever seen a tornado? All right. If you ever seen tornado drill, it used to make us like get up against the wall. Let's see if I can do this. It used to make us get up against the wall, right? You get up. Oh, that's my closet. Okay, get up against the wall, and then you get into like a fetal position, which is like the worst position to die in, by the way. All right, get into a fetal position, and then you cover your face and hide as if a tornado just go come in there like. Dang, it ain't no kids in here. That was a lot of fun. I think I head to the animal shelter. Oh, that was silly. I had a great time doing that one. All right. I can't tell. I can't tell the time. Okay, we'll just keep going. Is that it?
I think you're good. I think you're good.
2 or 3 or.
To come back to Ian.
All right. Well, hey, check out the $1 billion leak.
All right.
We are on to your final performer of the evening. I hope you guys have been having a good time. Please welcome to the stage. She is hilarious and amazing. Katie Hughes, everybody, let's hear it for Katie Hughes. Yay!
Hey, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. I'm so excited to be here in my home. What a treat. My name's Katie. I'm a comedian and I'm poor. Surprise. I'm so broke. Even before this, I would never have been able to summer in the Hamptons. But instead what I do is I fall in the shower. It's just like a vacation. You go somewhere, it's over in a blink. The x-rays are pictures of your adventure no one wants to see. I'm not saying you have to be rich to have a good time, but I am saying if you grew up poor and your memories are too good, your parents may have brainwashed you. Do you remember Spuds McKenzie? He was a dog mascot for light beer in the 80s, the late 80s. There's a poster of him where my dad worked. He was a pit bull that wore Hawaiian shirts. I loved Spuds McKenzie so much when I was 4 that one time my parents took me to meet him. But then as I got older, I realized that my parents just told me that I met him. They can just do that. I probably looked like a dang fool, excited to meet some random dog, and all he wants to do is finish his beer in peace before he has to go home to his bitch of a wife. The richest person in my family is my Aunt Ramona. She's got so much shmoney. That's what she calls it because of the schmood stabilizers. Turns out you're not supposed to take them with Schmerlot. Oh, I love tap water. That's just a non sequitur. My Uncle Bob used to be rich. He was the CFO of Bennigan's. You probably know how that ended. And if you don't, meet me at the closest Bennigan's and I'll tell you. Anyway, now he sells diet supplements for a multi-level marketing company. I'd call it a pyramid scheme, but I don't want to get in trouble with my Egyptian fan base. He's so good at it. He's already at some made-up level like triple diamond. He's a born salesman. He uses the same trick as drug dealers, like the first taste is free. One year for Christmas, he gave the entire family diet supplements. He made us try the special energy drink in front of him. And after 10 minutes, every single person was like, oh, my stomach hurts. And he goes, that's how you know it's working. He was the only one who got coffee that day. I think I just love a man who's never wrong. That's why I live in Georgia. We've got guys like Brian Kemp. He's the governor of Georgia and a sentient piece of cornbread. He reopened Georgia mid-pandemic. It is crazy. Like, pretty soon we won't even be able to pretend that we're better than Florida. I think Florida gets a bad rap, you know. I was born there and I lived there as an adult. And I think if you actually go there, you'll find out that bad rap is called reggaeton. Again, I hope I don't lose my Egyptian fan base. You know, sure, there's a lot of broken, bad people in Florida, but learn from what they're doing. Like, if you aren't traditionally valuable, learn how to lie so you can put a spin on what you are good at. Like that motel that doesn't have a broken ice machine, it's got an ice machine and a handwritten sign that says, "Who knew something cold could be this warm?" Actually, it says, "Who knew something cold be this warm?" because spelling is hard. But this ice isn't. You've heard of dry ice? Well, this is wet ice. Are you a freak show? Charge admission. One time my parents took me to St. Augustine, and I wanted to go to Ripley's Believe It or Not. They had the world's tallest skeleton, a two-headed cow, a two-faced kitten. She talked about everybody behind their backs. And my mom thought the tickets were too expensive, but then my dad assured her that it was a lot now, sure, but he explained later I could see all those monsters for free whenever I closed my eyes. Still do. Just did. I don't love it, but I am sure that I saw it in real life. I think the universe is in constant flux, and Florida is the most fully in sync with the ebb and flow of the universe. There's no winning or losing in Florida. There's only expanding and contracting. It's like breathing. Inhale. You work at a McDonald's inside a Walmart. Exhale. You own a full-sized McDonald's. Inhale. That was PCP. Exhale. You're wrestling a cop. Inhale, you're kissing an EMT. Exhale, you're getting a tattoo from your cellmate. Inhale, you work at a McDonald's inside a Walmart. I lived in Orlando for 4 years, and I recently went back after a decade away, and it was really cool to see how much it had transformed. It felt like a huge metaphor for my life, but when I tell people about it, I feel like some white trash motivational speaker. You know, when that strip mall got a check into cash, when it realized that a check into cash was there the whole time. Like, it's really hard to describe something so personal to people, even people you're close to. Like, I was catching up with my friend who has never left Central Florida, and I was like, look around. This is the land of new chances. That place that once rented furniture now sells furniture. That chiropractor's office used to only be at the Hut. And that Exxon where someone was shot is now a BP where no one has died yet. If those monuments to bad decisions have changed, maybe I have too. And then she was like, "Are you going to hold my baby or not? I'm next on the main stage." And I didn't hold her baby because it turns out I haven't changed that much. But just think about it, you know, a stripper dancing with her baby. I dare you to not feel optimistic about the future. Before I go, I think I have like 2 minutes left. Is that right? I don't know. I've been keeping time, kind of. Let me look. I've been on stage for 100 hours. All right, fantastic. So I noticed that, and I'll close with this in summation. I noticed that middle-aged Southern women don't like me and my comedy. And I thought, what kind of comedy do they like? You know, and I came up with 2 answers. Jeff Foxworthy and humorous signs you hang in your bathroom that have puns about alcohol. And I want these hicks to like me and give me their money. So I wrote some jokes just for them, and I think I nailed it. Here we go. If you have a dry body and a fruity finish, you might be a red wine. If you make me happy, then sad, then tired, then sick, you might be a red wine. If you sometimes need to breathe undisturbed for a few minutes, you might be a red wine. If you stain my Nana's partials one color and her real teeth another, you might be a red wine. If you aren't supposed to be mixed with Xanax, but my Aunt Ramona knows what she's doing, you might be a red wine. If you make my Aunt Ramona reveal her husband's dick don't work so she knows what she's not doing, you might be a red wine. And if you got your 23andMe results back and can't stop telling people you're 1% African, you're definitely a white wine. All right, that's my time. My name's Katie Hughes. Goodbye, Internet.
Yay! One more time for Katie Hughes, everybody. Let's hear it for all the performers you saw tonight. Check out laughandskulllounge.com.
Yeah.
Them on Facebook, Instagram for any upcoming shows and showtimes and streams and whatnots. And you can watch the replay of this later on Instagram. Hello, my name's Ian Avery. My lights just fell over. That's my time. Unless you want to hear a ghost story. Woo! Yay!
Are we done? We signing off?
I think so. Thank you, Rodney. I appreciate you got to be a part of Inside Baseball. Right?
Hi.
Well, thank you. You know what, Rodney? I'll call you tomorrow. I want to get your opinion on what's going on. I'd love to get your 2 cents. So I'll call you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye, y'all. See ya.